Welcome back to the Bear Flag Republic, people. Okay, I thought I'd talk about a libertarian idea. Well, a billionaire calls himself libertarian, Tim Draper. I I have to admit that I've been a registered libertarian for, 25 years at least. California libertarianism, hey man, it's a big tent. Old Will Rogers saying, yeah, I'm a member of no organized political party. I'm a libertarian. Really fits. Anyway, I think it's important to maybe talk about what Tim Draper is proposing, because when I initially heard it, I thought, hey, this is maybe a good idea, right in the wheelhouse here of the Bear Flag Republic. That California's representation in Washington D.C. is not what it should be, and we do not have the votes, especially because of the fact that we only get 2 senators. The Senate is the more powerful of the 2 houses. I can see, well, hey, if Tim Draper's idea is splitting California into 6 states, might make sense. We have 12 senators, working for California. That could make a lot of sense. But that's not how Tim Draper sees things, unfortunately. He's just out to make his own rules, make his own laws. He's got one state that's pretty much Silicon Valley, where he can do whatever he wants and import workers and pay him nothing. Have to pay Americans too much to write code for him. Anyway, that's another story. We'll talk about that. But anyway, when I realized what Tim Draper was really proposing was just his own little fiefdom. He didn't really care about what happened to the other 5 states that used to be part of the whole state of California. He really tipped his hand to me when he started his little speech and little spiel about, hey, this is the thing to do for California because California is too big to govern and it's a failed state. And I was like, okay, failed state, really? That's just not true. Because, let's look at the last 10 years here in California, because we've had our share of stuff happening in California, no question about that. And, we had, boom times like everyone else as we come into the 21st century, and then things started downturn. And one of the things that was written into the law of the boom times was we're subsidizing car registration when we have a lot of money coming in, tax revenue, but when we don't have a lot of money coming in, we're not going to subsidize car registration anymore. So Gray Davis, Democratic governor at the time, revenue goes down. We're having problems, having a balanced budget. So he's saying, well, we can't subsidize car registration anymore. And, all hell breaks loose because Republicans and what few libertarians there are in California start squealing about, hey, it's a new tax, when in fact it's a lot of it already passed. It's not a new tax. And he was vilified. Darrell Issa went out there, got a lot of signatures, financed a whole signature drive to recall Gray Davis because they really felt like he could get to people on the car registration stuff, because car registration is pretty darn high in California and the subsidy was pretty darn generous. So Darrell Issa sees this opportunity for him to maybe make his own run at being the governor, and he gets the California Republican Party to kind of say they're going to back him if he can get this recall going. Sadly for him, Arnold Schwarzenegger jumped in at the last minute. That was pretty darn funny to see Darrell Issa crying on TV about how he was dropping out of the race after he got the whole recall going, because California Republican Party, they wanted Arnie, because Arnie was marketable. He was going to win. He could win that recall. And so he became governor, and they subsidized car registration, and hey man, the budget went bad. We're losing money all over the place. What are we going to do? Arnie's not really a good politician, so hey, things go bad. He's not a manager of an economy. So when that happens, he ends up not making it back into office, and we bring back a competent manager, the last man to really have a good surplus, Governor Jerry Brown, and he has a surplus right now. So we're not a failed state right now. We have money. We have turned it around. We are not a failed state. So Tim Draper is obviously just, referring to California as a failed state, because they're really Californian. He's just a billionaire out to, do his thing and create his own little fiefdom where he can make even more money for himself. Now, what I originally thought the idea was get more representation for California in the Senate. That's still, I could make that a case for that. But that's not what Tim Draper's about, unfortunately. And maybe, splitting California up when we are actually kind of successful is not a great idea. So one of the things that, holds California back is that the freezing of the, number of congressmen in the House of Representatives. I mean, we get like 45 people, even though we got 1 in 9 Americans are Californians. The House Representative count should not have been frozen. At the beginning of the country, every census we readjust the size of the House of Representatives. And then around, 1917, 1920, they freeze it at 400 and so. And at the same time, they give women the vote, basically diluting the people's house by 50% immediately, representation-wise. And, it just keeps on going bad now that it's been frozen. So, I mean, the House of Representatives may be a place where California could, have a case on a national level. And here's a chance for me to pitch this book here, Recipe, Restoring American Greatness, which is actually about national issues. I wrote it, of course, or I wouldn't be pitching it. But I do write about the size of the House of Representatives in here. And, size of the House of Representatives right there. Nice chapter in here. And I recommend you reading it. And buying the book, of course. And seeing how, the size of the House of Representatives being frozen at the beginning of the 20th century has kind of hurt California. And one of the reasons why we are running a deficit, with the other 49 states. So, go out, buy the book. Think about what I just had to say there, and, ignore Tim Draper's, selfish desires for his own little country. Thank you.